All right.
Good morning, and welcome to Today in L.A., the Mike Amos Show. I'm Forrest Lee, and this is Bill Rice. We're filling in for Mike today. Today is the 21st day of April on a Wednesday. I guess you'd call it Hump Day.
Yep, that's right.
And we're glad you're joining us this morning. We've got a lot to talk about. And first of all, how was your day yesterday, Bill? Everything rolling along okay for you?
Well, it's a strange world I live in. I come on the show and then I go and do a little research, and a lot of times I knock out a little column or story. And so when you're writing and real intense in the writing, time goes fast. I mean, sometimes I'm writing and I look up and it's 2:38 and I say, uh-oh, because I got to pick up Maggie by 2:50, or they put her in, what they call it, late riders?
Something like that, yeah.
So then I pick up my children, and then I pick up Jack later, and then my wife comes home, and then we play some games and eat some supper. And man, Carrie fixed a great supper last night. We had some kind of sautéed shrimp with asparagus and little tomatoes.
Wow.
Baked shrimp. But, I'm still on this crazy low-carb diet, and that was all low-carb stuff.
Good.
So.
Well, here's what Jody fixed. She fixed some coleslaw. It was very delicious, and she had some brown wild rice, and we had baked pork tenderloin.
Oh,
and,
wow, good supper.
It was real good.
You might have outdone the rices.
But she did a wonderful job. I love you, Jody. Thank you. And I want to mention something. The Pike Liberal Arts Lady Patriots, the cheerleading team, will be traveling to Orlando for the Universal Cheerleader Association National Cheer Competition. It will be held in Orlando. It'll be this weekend. I want to congratulate those girls. I do not have their names right in front of me unless it's on the next page. But good luck to them, and let's see, their names may be in here, and if they are, no, I don't see them at this time.
Man, that's a journalism faux pas for a small town newspaper. What sells newspapers? Names and faces. You get those names in there, Bobby Rice.
But anyway, Katie Scott is one of their coaches, and congratulations to the girls, and good luck to you. Also, good luck to congratulations to Tim Faison. He's a graduate of Charles Henderson High School. Played at Troy University, but he's been named the new head coach at Charles Henderson High School. I know he's been, helping for years and years as an assistant.
JV coach.
He's been an assistant probably under, I don't know Calvin Griffin, but I know under Carl Hollis and
everybody knows Coach
Doug
Hollis.
Ranson and
is Coach
Shelby
Hollis
Tuck.
in the Troy University Hall of Fame? He's not.
Should be.
Well, he needs to be in there.
Him and Sales and Felix. Felix probably is.
Felix is in there, but Hollis was the main dude on the team, I think.
He was in that game where they scored all those points. Tim did. I think he scored like 10 or 12 points in that particular game.
He was a young player. Well, I'll tell you, the Tim Faison background. Well, it's first his sister's one of the most famous people in Troy, Sheila Faison Jackson.
That's his sister?
Yes.
Can he sing?
I don't know. That's a good question. Nobody can sing like Sheila, but my claim to fame is I graduated with Sheila, and so I heard her singing well before everybody else did. But then Tim is one of her baby brothers, and he was a really good basketball player and played at Troy University. But Tim, the best basketball player in the Faison family was Darren Faison, was the class of '79 Rush's class, star at Charles Henderson, and also a star at Troy State.
Is that a brother?
That is Sheila and Tim's brother.
Wow.
Darren was about 6'4", which is tall for those days. But he had a unbelievable outside shot. They didn't have the 3-point shot back then, but if they would have, Darren would have had a lot more points. So there's some of the Faison family history. I'm probably missing some of them.
Tim played at Charles Henderson High School and graduated in 1989. Then he played at Alabama Southern and later played basketball at Troy University under head coach Don Maestri.
That's right.
And Faison and the Trojans led the nation in scoring in both years that he was a Trojan. He later coached for Carl Hollis. Then he's coached with Doug Branson as well, and want to congratulate him. And
I'll tell you, he would. Tim would play as a guard, but whenever there was a big game, he would be on the sideline, and who would Coach make sure he bring in to sing the national anthem? Sheila.
Right.
And I would always watch the players for the other team and the coaches and the radio crews. And after Sheila would do the national anthem, they would do something like, "Wow, we weren't expecting that, or we haven't heard a national anthem that good."
He also wanted to mention in his quote that he's coached some great players through the years, Tim has, but he wanted to mention a couple of players who've passed away. Mario Harris and John Johnson, two great kids, and one of the most iconic pictures I've ever seen was the night that Mario passed away. Joey Meredith took a photograph. Mario's the only one in the picture, and his back, number 10, is facing the stadium, and that was a iconic and beautiful picture that Joey Meredith took, and
I hope that's framed in somewhere.
And this afternoon, William, is it William?
Yes, William.
William, the Lady Trojans of Troy University will host the Yellow Jackets, the Lady Jackets, in softball in a double header today.
Awesome.
First pitch, I believe, is at 4 o'clock. Trying to find the answer to that question.
The ACC, Georgia Tech, big game. Good weather. I hope they have a really good crowd for this.
Yeah, game one is scheduled at 4 p.m. It says the Trojans are 29-9 overall. We're 13-3 in the conference. The only losses came to Louisiana Lafayette.
Who was the top 15 team?
They're in the top 15 in the country, and the Lady Trojans. The great thing is, Bill, we're going to host the Sun Belt Tournament here just a couple of weeks, May the 12th through the 15th. And when we play them, we'll be on opposite sides of the bracket. But that's going to be an advantage, and I know our girls will be fired up. And let's beat these Georgia Tech ladies tonight.
We need some big wins over teams from big conferences. So, if we don't win the tournament, we want to get in the at-large bid into the softball playoff, and it seems like this team definitely should be in the consideration.
So the lady from Brantley, Leanna Johnson, she's 19-4 this year. She's got a 1.39 ERA. She's 6th in the country in strikeouts. She has 197 strikeouts. Katie Webb leads the Trojan offense. She bats .388. That's pretty good for fast pitch softball. And she's one of 5 Trojans with enough at bats who currently hit over 300. Kelly Horn, Jade Sinnes, Katie Lively, and Logan Calhoun. And Georgia Tech is 13-23. They're 7-19 in the ACC. And,
it sounds like we can take them then.
So good luck to the Lady Trojans of Troy University. And the men, we lost to Jack State last night, 6-1.
No.
Our record drops to 16-19. We're 4-8 overall. This weekend we're at home against Appalachian State, and the Lady Trojans will travel to Appalachian State this weekend to play up there. Where's that, in Tennessee?
No, it's in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Boone, North Carolina. It's out here. It's beautiful.
Good morning, and welcome to Today in L.A.
Morning.
Hey, Michael. This is Bill and Forrest on the phone. Your daddy, I think, is going to be out of pocket today.
Yeah, I think he's got to travel to Birmingham, do some stuff.
You feeling better?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I've had a little bout of something that you might have had the same bout of on Friday. It was rough.
Are we on commercial?
No,
we're
here,
live.
Man. We're live. I mean, people in Japan are watching us. China.
Yeah, we've already mentioned about the Pike Lady Patriots cheerleading team going to Orlando for national competition. Tim Fason's the new head coach at Charles Henderson. And we've mentioned that the Lady Trojans will be hosting Georgia Tech in softball today at Troy University.
Doubleheader.
So how did Troy do against Jack State last night? I didn't even look.
We lost 6-1. We fall to 16-19. We're 4-8 in the conference. We host Appalachian State this weekend, while the Lady Trojans travel to North Carolina, to Boone, North Carolina, to play Appalachian State.
You know, we mentioned earlier in the season they picked Troy to finish fourth in their own division in baseball, and they had 5 guys on the all-conference team. And I was saying then, I was like, that is one of the strangest things you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But, man, they were definitely right. This Troy team has not been playing very well, to say the least.
No. But, you know.
Yeah, they lost the game up 5 runs going into the 8th inning against Georgia State, which would have won the series. Mm-hmm. And then you lose to the Jacksonville State team last night, and I think has only won 12 games all season.
Well, I believe next weekend we go to Florida State to play the Seminoles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think that's the way the schedule is. I'll look it up real quick. I've got the schedule right over here to my left. But,
yeah, Coach Faison has been at Charles Henderson for a long time as a JV coach, and coached several years under Carl Hollis and Shelby Tuck, and you know, he's got a really good team coming back. Got any force? Didn't they win 19 games last year? How's everybody coming back?
You know, I did the play-by-play of the Pike County Charles Henderson game. Both teams look very solid, very well-oiled, very disciplined. The Charles Henderson High School has 1 senior. The rest are juniors and sophomores, and the JV team is loaded. I think the JV team went like 14-2.
Yeah, that's what the intelligence I've heard is that they were pretty good.
Yeah.
They had decent seasons, good seasons.
But the varsity team is
they
loaded.
were young, and so if you walk into a team where you have a chance to make a splash right away, it seems like this is the team.
Yeah, this will be the team, and so good
Do
luck.
they still have the big guy? The big guy coming back? It's like 6'7", but he has like a 7-foot.
I believe he
wingspan,
does. I believe he does. They've got some size coming back, and they've got a lot of guard skills. And I mean, when I saw him play, everybody on the bench played.
They played
a lot of time, and
they just couldn't beat. They just couldn't beat Greenville. Did Greenville beat them like 4 or 5 times?
Right, something like that. All 3 of the last 4 were very close, and I was looking at Troy University's schedule next weekend, the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd. We travel to Dick Hauser Stadium to play Florida State. After we play Appalachian State this weekend, Jack State comes to Riddle Pace Field on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, so we have a chance to play Jack State at home next Tuesday.
Good. I hate losing.
Let's beat Appalachian State and then get back on pace, and maybe that'll give us some momentum going into playing Florida State next weekend.
I've just never been a fan of Jack State, I must say. I mean, they're our longest rival. And I've had dealings with some of their players and fans, and I don't like them.
This weekend,
I'm sure there must be some good ones, and I've dealt with the wrong ones. But I've had some experiences with them where I said these people are different.
The FCS playoffs start this weekend. The college football, Mammoth at Sam Houston State, Davidson at Jack State at 2 o'clock, VMI at James Madison, Holy Cross at South Dakota State, Eastern Washington at North Dakota State, Missouri State at North Dakota, Southern Illinois at Weber, Sacred Heart at Delaware. But some of these teams are like 3-0, 4-0. I think Jack State is 9-2.
9-2.
Because they counted the fall schedule and this year. So there's your playoff. So Jack State will play this weekend at 2 o'clock against Davidson in the opening round of the FCS
I haven't
playoffs.
watched any of these spring football games. It's probably my loss. I think it's cool that we have spring football, but it's just passed me by. But maybe now that it's the playoffs, I'll start paying attention.
How about this? A lot of people love him, a lot of people hate him, but the head coach of Missouri State is one Bobby Petrino. He took Missouri State to the playoffs.
Wow.
I'm sure a lot of people didn't realize Bobby Petrino was even coaching at Missouri State.
Nope. You know,
Wow.
Yesterday, one of the big pieces of national news was the George Floyd verdict, and then Walter Mondale passed away.
Yeah.
And I got to admit that I had no idea that Walter Mondale was even still alive. I just hadn't heard anything about him for 20 years, but sad to hear that.
And the football championship game is going to be in Frisco, Texas at Toyota Stadium on May the 16th. That's about that part of it. And,
So then they expect these guys to turn around and in August get ready for a fall season. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, you're right. That's a point that's been made that this is maybe a little dangerous health-wise.
let's see what we got here. Good morning. Welcome to Today in L.A. This is Forrest and Bill.
This is Mike Amos calling. How you doing?
All right, let me get your son back on the line, please.
Well, I guess we'll take Mike Amos's call.
All right, what do we do? Hit hold.
You guys doing well?
Hold.
Yep. Hold in conference and then hit conference again.
Good morning. Do we have both of you?
Yeah, I got you. You got me. You got me.
Man, we have talked about so much already, Mike. I guess you haven't had a chance to listen to us, but man, we packed about 8 good subjects into 16 minutes already.
Yeah. Anything I needed to know?
Well, we lost to Jack. Let me recap. Forrest is the one that does all the content. Lost to Jack State.
How bad did we lose to Jack State? Bad.
6-1.
And we play them next Tuesday for revenge.
The Pike LeBlanc cheerleaders are going to nationals at Disney World. Tim Faison is named Charles Henderson High School basketball coach.
Oh, I sort of thought that would happen. I really did. To me, that was an easy pick.
Yeah, I guess so. Then we talked about spring football going on with these 1AA teams. And your son made the point that, some of these teams played a couple games in the fall. Now they're playing in the spring. Then they're going to turn around and play again in the fall again. Is that too much football? Or, is the body going to have a chance to recover?
That's a lot. Jacksonville State's one of those teams, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. They played like 9. I think they played 11 games, but some of these other teams have only played like 4 or 5.
I know it. You're right.
It's a turnaround.
They'll probably be all right. If they've only played 4 games, I guess that'll be all right.
And we talked about the Lady Trojans of Troy University will be hosting Georgia Tech in a doubleheader today, starting at 4 o'clock.
That'd be fun. That'd be almost a must for kids that play softball. They need to get out there and see how the big girls do it.
Well, it's an important series for Troy. I was telling Forrest that even if Troy doesn't win the Sun Belt, I think they got a good enough team to make a strong case to get a bid for the playoffs. But they need to win against some, Power 5 teams. And if they could sweep Georgia Tech, that would look good on the resume.
Yeah, no question about it. But, Troy has beaten several good teams. They've got a real good program. I know that.
I'm still
mad. You on the road heading to Birmingham?
Yeah, I'm on the road trying to get out of here. Mama's is caught in school cracking traffic. But, and I'm not going to Birmingham, I'm going to Montgomery to my doctor.
Troy Fest. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say Troy Fest is this weekend. It starts Friday from, I believe it starts at 8.
No, it's the vendors arrive Friday, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, Saturday, and then 10 o'clock Sunday, if I remember.
That's correct. Caroline Renfro, a student at Pike Liberal Arts, she's 13 years old. She is the T-shirt design winner for Troy Fest.
Reach down to your right and take that T-shirt on. That would be you in it.
I see it.
Forrest, reach underneath and get that and show that shirt.
All right.
Well, it's green, so it makes the.
Yeah, that's not good, but
that's kind of showing up. It says Troy Fest PC 200, Pike County, Alabama, bicentennial, and on the back it reads Troy Fest 2021, celebrating the arts in memory of Gene Lake.
Is that wouldn't happen to be a double extra large, would it?
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Who did she bring that
It's
for?
an XL.
It'll fit you. It'll fit you.
It's an extra large.
Yeah, you guys, one of you guys,
Well,
pick out the one you like.
So congratulations to Caroline Renfro.
I've lost about 20 pounds. I was definitely a double extra large, but maybe I can get back in my extra large now.
You lost 20 pounds. I didn't realize that.
Well, nobody's commented on my weight loss, so maybe I haven't weighed. I don't ever weigh, but that's just my estimate of how much I've lost.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to find a good scale, usually if you go to a Publix grocery store, they have really nice scales in there.
Yeah, you know what?
That big scale in Publix?
Yeah.
I usually
That's a big one, isn't it?
I wait until I know I've lost a lot of weight, so when I get on the scales, it won't look so bad. And I do. I when I do finally weigh, it's at a Publix, or maybe I go to a gymnasium that usually has some scales, and it's like this big pressure. It used to be if I remember one time how heavy I seemed if I got to 220. I said, oh my gosh, 220 pounds. And then it became 230, and then it became 240. I think one time I weighed, I was 250. Oh. But it's a battle we all fight.
Did you see where DJ Fluker signed with the Miami Dolphins? He's going to play for the Miami Dolphins. DJ Fluker.
He's been a first round pick. I mean, he was with San Diego, and then he was with the Seattle, and now he's with the Dolphins. He's kind of moved around a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about weight. I weighed 165 when I graduated from high school, and so I've just told you that I've got up to close to 250. But I saw Todd Rainey the other day at church. Jack Rainey's middle child. And you remember Todd was a free safety and quarterback on the Charles Simpson football team, and he threw the discus and shot put and was a punter, great all-around athlete, but he was real big. He was always, for his size and position, probably about 205 pounds, 6'1".
Yeah.
I saw him the other day at church. I said, man, you were under your playing weight. So he looked like, to me, he probably weighed about 190 pounds. And he said, yep. Yeah. 40, 35 years later, he's weighs less than he did in high school.
Oh, boy, that's something. You don't find many like that, do you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Of course, the Morgan Drinkard was on my show yesterday, and boy, what a great personality she is, I tell you. She is about she gets answered, I tell you. She does a wonderful job. Of course,
it was kind of more interesting to me hearing about what you had to do as a Troy professor, dealing with all these international students, dealing with all these students for Zoom classes, online classes, pods, the amount of students you can teach at a time. I mean, all that stuff's real interesting to me. I mean, I don't know, what's going to happen going forward, but hopefully everybody, maybe with herd immunity and the vaccines, hopefully you can get back to regular classes in the fall. But I don't know. I don't know when that will be decided.
It wouldn't surprise me if they kind of continue where half the class shows up on Monday while the other class sits in on the telecast, and then the next day the other group comes in live.
It's a big debate. I'm on some website that parents who were upset with their kids paying all this tuition and just happened to go to class on a computer, and they want their kids to get the real, quote, college experience and be in class and be able to meet with their professors, etc. Yeah. And so if they could go back to regular traditional classroom instruction, I think a lot of people would be relieved.
You're probably gonna see a lot of kids graduate when they're about 23, 24 this time, I would imagine, instead of 22, because I would imagine some kids are probably taking this time off, maybe just working and plan on going back to school later.
The other thing is that some classes are easy. You can do them online, right? But some classes aren't. I mean, you more involved, complex subject matter. you need to be around other students and your professor, and and then I've heard that people's grades are falling and there's huge anxiety that they're not learning the material. So this is a bigger issue than we might realize.
It's going to be a real question mark when school starts in the fall. If the tuition will be up, and it seems to me that it's going to definitely be down, and let's just hope it's not down that far.
Well, they're building apartments left and right in Troy, Alabama.
Yeah, that's true.
So something's
It's important that we keep these students coming. And Mike's asked, I still don't know how the number of Chinese students we have has been affected, and I think that's a pretty big percentage of the student body.
I'm wondering too. I'm wondering if a lot of them finally got to go home, or are they all here?
Mm-hmm.
You would think if they were here, they would go to school.
Yeah, I think a lot of them couldn't go home, so they have been here. But she was telling us, Miss Drinker, that a lot of international students that haven't been able to go home for a year.
Oh, yeah. Of course, this show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks, and we appreciate them so much. I rode by there and went through their lot the other day, and boy, they've got a huge selection. And this is probably the best cash sale that they've had in many, many years. It's a wonderful sale going on out at Premier. Remember this. Nobody beats the Premier deal. Nobody.
That's right. And I've got a few high school playoff pairings.
All right. Yeah.
These games will start this Friday. They'll play a doubleheader Friday, and if needed, they'll play another game on Saturday.
So in the first round, it's best 2 out of 3.
This is the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Choctaw will travel to Kinston. Milry goes to Brantley. So Brantley will host the first round.
All right, go Brantley.
I have never heard of Milry. Where's Milry?
Isn't that up there above Prattville?
Might be.
No, it's down in Mobile.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike.
Milry is located. I'm good for something.
No, Mike Amos has been. He's that Johnny Cash song.
right
I've been
there.
everywhere, man. That's the man he was talking about was Mike Amos.
Near Chatham?
Yeah, near Chatham. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Randolph County travels to Luverne. And if you're hosting, that means you're the area champ.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Orange Beach travels to Ayrton. Ayrton defeated GW Long for the area championship.
Good job.
All right.
So Orange Beach High School is a 2A school playing Ayrton.
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yep. GW Long.
Yeah.
George W. Long travels to St. Luke's of Mobile. Highland
They've
Home.
won more championships than anybody in high school baseball. Don't know that?
I believe they've won 16. Their record is 11-13. But don't count them out. They've won 16 state championships in baseball.
That is amazing.
Holland?
That would be interesting to research for you to
They just beat Charles Henderson, too.
Mm-hmm.
What school has won the most state championships in any sport? GW Long might be the winner.
Well, when you talk,
who just beat Charles Henderson, Mike? Who did that?
GW Long.
Well, was the game yesterday? Was that last night?
Yes, whatever their senior day was.
Okay.
Probably, I think it was Monday night. Highland Home travels to Ranburne. And
I hope they'll stop by my favorite restaurant and get something to eat on the way.
Is that the Hub?
No, it don't matter for us.
Wait a minute now. Listen, it don't matter for us.
It don't matter.
I ate there last week.
Did you eat that the other day?
I did.
What's it? We've talked about this place.
It was buffet.
Is it good?
Yes, sir.
Then they've got a buffet?
They have a buffet.
Well, it don't matter. I'm going, buddy. If they've still got a buffet.
They got them on Friday and Saturday nights, too. But Monday
Well, what's
Friday.
the name again of that restaurant? I mean, what's the name again?
It don't matter, Mike.
Oh gosh, it don't matter. It don't matter to me.
You can,
I'd like to know that so the people would know. What's the name of that restaurant?
It don't matter. And I want a T-shirt the next time.
All right.
Do they have them? Surely they do.
If y'all want to be like that, go on.
Also in 2A, New Brockton travels to T.R. Miller. Flomaton travels to Opp. In 4A, I believe this is 4, it may be 3. W.S. Neal travels to Dale County. They're in our viewing area, Dale County. And in 5A, Charles Henderson, 11 and 14, travels to UMS Wright.
All right.
Wow, what a tough trip.
Yep. UMS Wright, 17 and 8. Charles Henderson, 11 and 14.
Mike, have you ever been to UMS Wright's campus?
No, I haven't. I've never been to the campus. I've been to St. Paul's many times, but I've never been on the campus. I've ridden by it, just to see it. But,
I haven't either.
But never for an event.
I assume it's really nice, but
And also,
well, Charles Henderson beat UMS Wright when they were 4A to go to the state championship game. Terry Curtis, legendary coach, has won over 300 games. Brought his team to Charles Henderson. That one time they played.
It's probably the best 5A team in the state, and maybe even a lot of times best 6A team.
right.
Wait a minute, you said they were 4A?
They were 4A when Charles Henderson played them in the right before the state championship game.
And the only other area team kind of close to us, Rehoboth will host LaFleur, and I did not get the schedule for Enterprise. I know they're in the 7A playoffs, but that was not listed on the website. Softball area for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, their area play will start somewhere around the 1st of May. So that's a little bit later on in the season.
and these are all best 2 out of 3 games.
And
That's a change from when I was in school. The first 2 rounds, I think, were just one game. And then you talk about pressure. At least if
I'll tell you.
Well, that's good that Charles Henderson played 25 games in baseball.
Yeah. All right, let me tell you something that just caught my attention while we were riding. Something big has happened at Enterprise High School. Enterprise is traditionally one of the strongest programs in high school football, and they've got a new addition coming up. Do y'all know what it is?
probably indoor.
If you do, I'm gonna give you a hammer. I'm gonna give you a hammer.
Probably an indoor facility.
No. Mom, all right, anybody else? This is a great new addition to Enterprise High School.
luxury suites in the stadium.
No, you're wrong, but I will tell you this.
They're selling beer at hospital games.
No, they not.
I tell you
With
what,
Enterprise,
Ghost and sell sweet tea. It's a hit.
Yeah, that's smart. That is smart.
Well, I'll tell you this: they're putting all-weather surface on their football field.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, cool. I wonder how many high schools have done that in Alabama.
Not many, but that's probably $250,000 value, I'd say.
Well, they'll save some money on cutting grass, won't they?
You know, one of their best players is a Sessions kid. I think his name's Parker Sessions, Keith Sessions' son. They used to live in Troy. He's one of their best baseball players at Enterprise. And he is very good. I don't know what their record is, but they're in the playoffs.
I wonder what the population of Enterprise is these days.
35,000, I think.
I bet.
Well, it's about
I don't know if it's that, but I know it's at least 30,000 now. And it's really growing.
That's something that Google can tell me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike,
but you know what? Their bypass is pretty big, but I don't think it's as big as Troy's. I mean, it's not near as crowded as Troy's. I just say they like Troy.
Well, can we take a short break, Mike? It's about 7:35.
Let's do.
We want to thank Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Troy, Jason Gregory and his team. There's nobody that can beat their deal. Nobody. Troy Bank and Trust and their 14 locations. There's 4 in Troy. There's 2 in Brundage, Goshen, Ayrton, Elba, New Brockton Enterprise, 2 in Dothan, and there's 1 in Tigertown in the city of Auburn. And we'll be back with Today in LA in just a minute.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're going to want to make it yours. Not because it's free,
But because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
you can email your provider and get answers.
Have a virtual visit.
Get test results.
Refill prescriptions.
And manage your family's health care.
You know how we all want healthcare to be easier?
But no one seems to listen? Well, someone did.
Southeast Health.
To get your free MyChart app,
Visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
When something's just right, it's more than a good fit. It's that perfect feeling. And at Badcock Home Furniture and More, that means just for you comfort. Find styles that move you at Badcock's Motion and More sale. Featuring new recliner sets like our remarkable Duke collection or our selection of Lazy Boy recliners, all with no credit refused. So shop what's just right at your local Badcock in Elba and Enterprise. Badcock Home Furniture and More, just right.
This is Barney at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and I'm here to nip this sale in the bud.
Hello, folks. This is Greg Anthony, sales manager at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Troy, Alabama, offering discounts up to $15,000.
Let's nip that.
0% financing up to 72 months.
We gotta nip that.
Barney, $5,000 over Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
You're killing the competition.
Barney!
Somebody could
About ready.
transfer from.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Today in LA. It's the Mike Amos Show, and I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice. And on the phone, we have the dynamic duo, the father and son combination of Mike Amos and his son Michael. Michael's calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. Good morning.
And I say glory to all of you.
I went to the Red Bar. Dad had your famous grouper fingers on Sunday over a salad, and they gave me so much grouper I couldn't even eat it all.
Wow.
I read the Red Bar.
Yeah, we actually parked in the beach truck on the beach and walked with the girls over to the Red Bar. It was fun.
And it really does have a lot of, sometimes it really does pile it on. They pile that.
Let's remind people that
I saw an old friend from Troy in there with his family. Newton Campbell was in there.
Newton Campbell, okay, my good friend. Was he all eating some good food?
Yeah, he was in there having lunch. You always run into people you know in the Red Bar, it seems like.
Yeah, I know. It's probably, I would say it's probably the most popular place to eat south of Destin. What do you say?
Probably one of the most popular places to eat on the Florida Panhandle.
Yeah, it is a real good place.
and it was about how long was it closed, Michael?
It was closed. We moved down. We've been here over 2 years. We were here 2 years back in March, and it was closed for at least a year and a month or two while we lived here. So
probably more than that.
A year and a half.
Captain Anderson's has got to be one of the most. Let's just, it's a great place to eat too.
Yeah. Captain Anderson's would be high on the list. The Red Bar.
I've heard a name yesterday of one of the businesses coming out to our new shopping center here in Troy. It's called McKinney's or McAllister's. McAllister's is coming to Troy.
That's an old like sandwich, potatoes, soups. Yeah, the McAllister's has been around for years. They're down.
Yeah,
they're down.
I hear we're getting one. I've heard that through the grapevine that we're getting one.
They're known for their
I heard. I just asked one of the workers out there. I said, "Dude, what's going there?" And he said, "I think it's Pat Callister, stuff like that.
Yeah, Bill was mentioning earlier about Auburn picking up some transfers, but Joe Lenardi of ESPN has Alabama projected number 1 next year, followed by Gonzaga, Kansas, and UCLA. And according to the top recruiting,
well, especially as everybody picks up on, that's not football.
No, that's basketball. That's basketball.
Well,
yeah,
top
that's right.
presses.
Yeah, and top recruiting in college basketball as of right now, ranking UCLA is 1, Gonzaga's 2, Villanova 3, Alabama 4, and 5th is Ohio State. And in the Southeastern Conference, Arkansas comes in at 9, Tennessee 15, Kentucky 17, and Auburn comes in at 22. And he's got some Auburn.
Well, Auburn's got big news. Auburn guard Alan Flanagan has decided he's not done playing with the Tigers. You can test your draft status now without losing your eligibility. So he wanted to see if he would be drafted. He must have decided that he wasn't going to be drafted that high, so he's coming back. So, and I'm looking at a picture of him here. He looks like a big-time athlete. So Coach Pearl has one of his best players coming back.
His dad is the assistant coach at Auburn.
Yeah. And didn't they get a transfer from Auburn?
Arkansas. Former Arkansas guard Desi Steele committed to the Tigers on Tuesday. 6'2", 200-pound guard with 2 years of eligibility. Heck, he made the preseason All-SEC second team. He started 15 games last year and averaged 7.5 points per game. So they're getting a seasoned, pretty good player from Arkansas, which had a very good team. Mm-hmm. So good news for Auburn basketball.
Enterprise, Alabama has 29,800 people, so they're close to 30,000.
Mike hit it almost in the nose.
Is Shackelford, he's already declared for the NBA, but he can come back. Didn't he say he did not? But he didn't get an agent, so he's eligible to come back.
He's in the same boat.
Yeah, he's in the Shackelford.
You want to hear something crazy? I totally didn't realize this the other day. I read an article. So Butler, the great guard for Baylor, originally committed to Alabama, went to campus, originally signed with Alabama, went to the University of Alabama, ended up never playing, went back and signed with Baylor. And then Mitchell played at Auburn, the other great guard at Baylor, for I think 1 year or maybe 2 years, and then transferred to Baylor. So both of those great players, one played at Alabama, or one was going to play at Alabama, one did play at Auburn.
Wow.
That were on that national championship team. Yeah.
Yeah. I sure wish there was a contest I could be in that I could say Alabama was not going to be number 1. I don't believe Alabama will ever be number 1
in basketball.
Yeah, in basketball. Would you like to make that Las Vegas bet?
Yeah.
I'd like to live to see it, but
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close. We're getting close.
Well, today, this weekend on Friday, starting on Saturday morning, we've got a wonderful, wonderful event going on in Troy, and it's one of the best in the state every year. It's a Troy Fest.
Yeah. When I talked to Morgan, she said there's going to be like 12 food trucks.
Ooh, good.
There's so many wonderful vendors coming. We've got some local flavor with Wally Lowry and Alicia Leverett and Adams Glass, just to name a few. All the restaurants will be open in downtown Troy. There's going to be a lot of entertainment, and throughout the day, over there at the corner parking lot on the other side of Bird's Drugs, there in what's that little boutique that the Hughes girls, Mickey Hughes?
Oh yeah.
Well, I can't think of it, but that little boutique right there, Mickey and Stella Hughes. Their two daughters on that boutique right there.
Juliet, there's all kind of
there's all kind of stuff that's going on this Saturday and Sunday, and but it's going to be a buzz Friday night. You can park
be there, don't
off
be
the square.
Be there, don't be square,
and
on
go
the
to
square.
a local restaurant there.
What is happening Friday night?
Well, you can still there'll be a lot of entertainment, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
and food. all the restaurants downtown Troy will be open. So
now they did
packed.
say they
new
want
place,
you to.
is the new place on right off the square? Is it going to be open?
Well, that's a bar. Yes, sir. It'll be open. Yeah, it's
called
open
the
now.
Market.
The warehouse.
The market.
Isn't it called the warehouse?
I believe that's right. The warehouse, and of course
I haven't been in it yet. I mean, I know that Alan Wood just worked his fanny off to fix it up.
But all the restaurants will be open.
Very unique place.
This Friday night.
In a building that is well over 100 years old, too. That's amazing.
What a institute. Yeah, you're right. Wood Furniture was the furniture store in Pike County for 100 years, I guess.
You mentioned a while ago about the 16 state championships that GW Long has in baseball, but there's 2 teams in tennis. Mountain Brook has 29 state championships overall, and in volleyball, Bayside Academy has 29 state championships.
Isn't that amazing? Oh, boy.
So
I didn't know Bayside Academy had been around that long.
They have, and of course in boys golf, UMS Wright's won 25 times in golf.
Let's say the major sports. You're right. Yeah. Like Montgomery Academy does pretty well in tennis. I wonder why.
All right, cross country girls.
All the country club sports. Some of these private schools seem to excel.
Cross country girls, Mountain Brook 23 state titles, Scottsboro 23. So.
Well, I'm just gonna say football. It goes in cycles. For a while it was Robert E. Lee had a great run in the '60s.
So Tom Jones was, I think his record when he was retired at Robert E. Lee was 108 to something like 8 or 9, something like that. That's a pretty good record, wasn't it?
You could look at these little schools probably have less competition, so they might have more. But also
Maplesville's always been good.
Yeah, Town Creek, Sweetwater,
Yeah.
But also the classifications have gotten smaller through the years. There used to be 4 classifications, now there's 7. So back in the day, it was a lot harder to win a state championship because you were competing against so many more teams. So so you wouldn't see a team that would win it, 5 out of 10 years. The competition was so fierce.
And for Coach Daniel to have 300 wins in today's time, he'd probably be close between 400 and 500. Because he averaged probably 10 games a year because he didn't get invited to the playoffs.
That's the same in college too. Because back in the Bryant and Dodd and Johnny Vault eras, teams when my dad played college football, the regular season schedule was 10 games, and then it became 11, and then now it's 12. But you also have a conference championship game, that's 13, and a bowl game, that's 14. If you're in the playoffs, you can play 15 or 16 games.
Hey, trivia question for the 2 Amos brothers, to the Amos men. This was in CBS Sports. Name the 7 coaches that they have listed who have the most pressure to win in college football this year. The 7 coaches.
I can't play because I looked at them.
Number 1 is Chip Lindsey at Troy.
Well, he's not on there, but we'll add him.
Okay. Let's see. Most pressure to win.
Man, I think Texas does, and I think Alabama has always got pressure to win.
I'm talking about coaches that
are on the hot seat or that they're expecting greater results.
Yeah, not Alabama. Texas.
The fan base is not necessarily satisfied with what they're doing.
I mean, the guy at USC always gets a lot of flack. Clay Helton.
Clay Helton, correct.
James Franklin had a really poor season at Penn State.
He's not on there, but we'll add him.
Michigan's coach is going to be on there, Harbaugh.
Yes, that is correct.
Harbaugh is definitely on that.
I would say Florida State, Mike Norvell.
He wasn't on there.
I would think so, yeah.
He's probably getting the pass because he's relatively new.
Let's see, who else?
I think I'm one of the blue bloods of college football history.
Midwest, 2 of them.
Corn-fed.
Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah, they're definitely out in the hot seat.
And then you got ACC, Virginia Tech's been really down.
Yep, that is correct. Yeah, right. Justin Fuente.
And then out west, I'm trying to think of.
I don't have anybody out west other than Southern Cal.
Yeah. What about like programs like Syracuse? They're really down.
It didn't have them listed. It's got Jeff Brom from Purdue. They've got Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma.
What?
Well, has he won a national championship? And they got they've got Kirby Smart listed because he can't get over the hump. But I wouldn't get rid of Kirby, and I wouldn't get rid of Lincoln. But definitely Harbaugh and Frost. And
hey, let me ask you this: what is Frost's record since he's been at Nebraska?
Nebraska. It's horrible.
Give me the wins and losses since he's been there.
I think it's about 500.
You know, one of those losses to the Troy Trojans. They went to Nebraska and won.
Yeah, sure did.
You know, and that was a hum deal, wasn't it? I mean, it was like, well, we beat Nebraska. Can you imagine 30 years ago somebody telling you you're going to go out there and you're going to beat Nebraska by 10 points?
Yeah.
Everybody would have said, you're dreaming.
I went with Dad, and I don't know how many of those Nebraska fans said, "Where's Troy State?" We've never heard of Troy State. And Dad had to tell everybody, he's like, "We're from Alabama. We know how to play football," or something like that.
They thought we were out of. They thought we were out of our mind when we bust our band to Nebraska.
Here's his record: 4-8, 5-7. 3-5. He's 12-20 overall.
Jeez.
In the conference, he is 9-17.
Well, I was way off. I said 500. He's way under 500.
I would have already pulled the string on him, wouldn't you?
And his last team at Central Florida went undefeated.
That's right.
Beat Auburn.
That's right. I tell you, that is remarkable, that record there. And, of course, he played quarterback at Nebraska a few years ago, and I've sort of rooted for him when he wasn't playing Troy, people like that. But he's, I thought he was a bright young man in college football.
You would think your brand and tradition ought to count for a ton. It does count for a ton. But in Nebraska, they're obviously not getting the elite athletes coming to the middle of the cornfields in Nebraska anymore. I guess at one point Tom Osborne was able to get them, but something's changed, man.
That's when it was smashed by football.
Some of our old coaches could come back and live again. What would they think of all the changes that's been made at Troy University for our athletics?
Oh, man.
Golly.
But Harbaugh's 34-16 in the Big Ten. But he's 49-22 overall since he's been at Michigan. 34-16 in the Big Ten.
I'll tell you something about
I'm going to be interested to see how Malzahn does. Of course, he was on the hot seat every year at Auburn, but being at Central Florida with all that talent and playing in the league he plays in, I think Malzahn will win 10 games every year.
Yeah. Well, what was his deal? How many years did he get there? I think he got several years.
I think he got 5 or 6.
Yeah. And I've told you before that the time I met him, he is a real nice guy. No question about it. And I hope he does well. I really do.
Man, he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, he's been super good and then mediocre when you didn't expect it. But I mean, when Auburn had it going on, everybody was afraid to play Auburn. That offense was just almost unstoppable.
Yeah.
He's got more wins against Nick Saban than anybody in the country. He's got 3.
He
could have had, and a couple of those games that he lost were real competitive games too.
His 5-year contract at Central Florida is $11.5 million. He will earn $2.3 million annually over 5 seasons, which is identical to the terms of his first contract at Auburn. We're having an echo in here, Dustin. But anyway, I think he'll be very successful.
Doesn't he also get a little more from Auburn too? Because I mean, they subtract.
Oh yeah,
a little more. He gets like $20 million.
So he's already been paid off by Auburn, or he got a good settlement before he even went to Central Florida.
Georgia or Florida? Who's going to win the East? Georgia.
I like Georgia. I think Georgia's got a better quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Georgia.
J.T. Daniels showed me enough last year that I would think. But, they lost Pickens, the great receiver out of Hoover. He's probably one of the best wide receivers in the country.
Is he out for the year?
Florida lost all those great players. We saw what kind of Florida team when they played Oklahoma in that bowl game. Without those great players, they were not the same team. And they have a horrible defense.
I think he can probably be the help with water patrol at Georgia. You remember when he doused the
doused the player? They had the Oklahoma coach on the hot seat, but Oklahoma finished the season really strong. And like you said, I mean, they played a deleted, decimated Florida team that didn't even want to be in the bowl game, but they beat the slop out of them in the bowl game. What else could they do?
And they're picking up some transfers as well. Oklahoma is. And that's the thing. You still don't know who, after the smoke clears, who's going to pick up these transfers. They could still transfer in June. I mean, and it doesn't stop. The transfer cutoff won't start until next year. That's, as far as you got to declare by, I believe it's the 1st of July if you are a fall sport.
Looking back
of 2022.
Who was the best team Alabama played last year?
Florida.
I mean, Florida with their full arsenal ready to play. I mean, they were obviously. I mean, Ole Miss hung with Alabama, but that was early in the season. And but
he's a
Florida
coach is a tremendous. He gets fired up. Everybody plays.
They tested Alabama a lot more than Notre Dame and Ohio State did.
Yeah, it would have been. A&M was really good, but Alabama just destroyed them when they played.
Yeah, I would think Oklahoma would have been the best of the four. We had a name for somebody else other than Notre Dame to be in the playoffs. It would have probably been Oklahoma.
Oklahoma lost 2 games early, and then it was one terrible upset. But I think at the end of the year they were obviously one of the best teams.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm getting into my doctor's office, and I've enjoyed being with y'all this morning. I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you in the morning.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Good luck.
All right, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Georgia, they open up with Clemson, then UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, at Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee at Tennessee, Charleston Southern, and Georgia Tech. That's Georgia's schedule. And let's look at Florida's real quick. Florida Atlantic, South Florida, home versus Alabama, home versus Tennessee, at Kentucky, at Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt at home, at LSU, Georgia, South Carolina, Samford, at Missouri, and versus Florida State.
When is the Alabama-Florida game? What week of the season?
It is the September the 18th.
I'm going to make a couple of points. I guess it might be a night game because that's going to be a high-profile game, but if it's not, that is going to be a hot ball game. They're going to have a 100% capacity stadium in Florida with Governor DeSantis, so that is going to be a loud, tough environment. And it's going to be young Mr. Bryce Young's baptism of fire, and so he will have had 3 games to brace for that experience.
Opens up in Atlanta versus Miami.
That'll help him, but it'll be nothing like playing in the swamp with 85,000 rabid gators pulling against you.
Right. And then you got to go to Texas A&M on the 9th of October, 2 weeks later.
Alabama does?
Yes.
That's a gauntlet.
Then at Mississippi State.
I'll take my chances there.
And then LSU at home.
I'll take my chances there. I was thinking that little LSU, that guy messed up saying that, what did the coach say, Michael? Said Alabama's we got them. We're going to beat them from here on out.
He said a lot of profanity. We can't say what he said, but he basically said they're going to dominate Alabama recruiting, dominate Alabama on the field.
Excuse me.
And then he said, "Blank you, Alabama."
And then the next year, Alabama puts 65 on them.
Yeah, 55 on them. Yeah, y'all are talking about the worst fans in college football, or somebody was mentioning that earlier. LSU fans have got to be the worst.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many times I've come close to blows with LSU fans.
Yeah, I've heard
in my life.
I haven't. I've heard so many people say the same, and they say that my brother Rush went to the national championship in New Orleans when Alabama beat LSU in the rematch. That was the game of the century. I mean, there were 80,000 people.
I was at that game. Yeah.
80,000 people that were down there that didn't even have a ticket. And so the Alabama and the LSU fans were around each other for days. Rush said he was so tired of those LSU fans by the time they played that ball game.
That's when it happened for me as well. I mean, in the line before the game, I thought I thought I was about to go to blows with a guy. It was that bad. I mean, just obnoxiously cocky. I mean, just ridiculous. I've never heard fans like that.
You know, it must be something about that state. I remember that great Dixie Boys team that won our first World Series and went to Rock Hill, South Carolina. Al Renfro played on it, and Marcus Bryant and Willie Wright.
Was Brian Meadows on that team?
No, he was.
Or was that a year? They're a year younger.
I think Brian was like a year older. He was close, but he wasn't on that team.
So it's probably like Tommy Lucas and Jamie Price and all those kids.
You got it. I covered it. I was the sports editor for the Messenger, so I covered all of it. And Andy Murphy and I went up there and covered the World Series. But Troy's first game in the World Series was against Louisiana. And man, I saw their fans, and a lot of them were staying in the same hotel we were. I've never seen more cocky people than these Louisiana fans. You know, they had no doubt that they were going to take care of Alabama and Troy.
I guess Andy Blair would have been on that team too.
Wrong. We shut them up. I say we. When you have Marcus Bryant going out there in the first game, I mean, that's like having Doc Gooden in his prime go out there.
Good morning. Welcome to Today in L.A.
It's Max Howell. How are you this morning?
Hey, Max. Hold on. Let me put you on hold, and I'll bring Mike back on.
There we go.
Conference.
Let's ask Max this question. Conference.
Good morning. We got Max Howell with us, Michael.
Max, we're going to hit you with a question that we're talking about right now. The most obnoxious fan base in the SEC. Michael and Bill Rush Jr. have pretty much agreed that the worst fans are LSU fans, if you're around them. Now, I don't know if you want to take on this question because you got a national following.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been on the sidelines of I think two of the worst. LSU probably ranks right at the top, but I'm going to tell you one that gets talked about very little is Florida.
Yeah.
Go stand on the sidelines of Florida now. I'm telling you, that fan base is pretty rowdy.
We were just talking about Alabama has to go to the Swamp September 19th with a young quarterback. Hot. It's going to be hot. Full stadium. That's the game to circle if you're Alabama fans.
Yeah, I think having watched the spring game this past weekend, though, Alabama's passing game is going to be, I think, as good as it's ever been. It's hard to say with the number of kids that they've come through it. Of course, with Mac Jones this past year and Devontae Smith and all the great wide receivers they've had. But I'm telling you, they got some good young kids coming. And what I saw this past weekend, and the talent's certainly there. They just got to, tweak them a little bit and get them all on the field at the same time. And I think Alabama will be right there back at the top 4 years over.
You know, I do too. I thought Mac Jones was going to be really good, and he was. And then I've read these people say, "Oh, Bryce Young's not going to live up to the hype." But you know, I've watched his high school tape, watched his live games, and then he just got a little mop-up duty last year. But I think Bryce Young is going to be right up there with Mac and Tua. Sounds like you do too.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on some game preparation and game experience. Because he wasn't given that chance. I think he took 23 snaps or something like that last year. And it was, he didn't, Coach Saban didn't allow him to throw the ball a couple of times. But what I saw Saturday, little refining on that long pass. They had 2 or 3 drops. But I think that'll come with just practice.
Good to hear. Good report. What else impressed you?
Yeah, I mean, Mechie, the great wide receiver, number 8, out injured. So that's your top receiver coming back. Didn't even play.
Well, number 17 didn't do bad now as a freshman. I'm going to tell you. Yeah. That kid is Paul. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to use Latour as a slot back. You wait and see. They'll match him up on the strong safety, and he'll score a lot of pass. We saw his deceptive speed. He's a 6'5" kid that can run. They're going to, and I think when he and Billingsley look for them to use a stack formation with those guys, because they can pick a defensive back, they can pick him and run a wheel route on the backside of that. And I mean, it ain't many defenses going to be able to run those guys.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying, Max, that with Mechie coming back and one of these young receivers emerging, plus some other guys that should be pretty good, plus the running backs, they got some great ones, and these 2 tight ends that Alabama, we knew we had 1 tight end, but it sounds like we now got another one.
I look for the pro influence to continue to creep into the offense. That's why Saban brought those guys in. And you've seen them. They'll run a tight end in a traditional slot. They'll back him off the line as an H-back, and they'll run him out there wide and mismatch him on the corner. Look, football's gotten just like basketball. It's a matchup game completely, and it's those guys that's got the kids that can play, and they coach them up. To me, that's the biggest discrepancy between Alabama and Georgia. Kirby can get them there, but they can't coach them up. I defy somebody to tell me a player that's got better at Georgia since they got there. I don't know of one. Fromm certainly is not the example. He was a 3-year starter.
Mm-hmm. So
the big thing we're not even talking about, though, is the fact that Bryce Young's probably going to run for about 50 yards a game. You don't see that in the spring game. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, his athletic ability alone is going to lead to more first downs and scoring plays right there.
I would like for him to be about 20 pounds heavier, though. Mm-hmm. I think he's a little fragile to run. I know he's got great quickness and good speed and all that stuff. But look behind him. They ain't got a quarterback can play right now behind him now. Yeah. I don't want to hear anything about Tyson and, Jay Barker's son or those guys. They're not ready to play at all in this offense. And I think Coach Saban then will protect Bryce Young. He'll do some short yardage stuff inside the 2 or 3 on keepers to get in the end zone. But I don't look for him to scramble around out there like.
Well, I hope you're right. If he does scramble, just hit a knee after you scramble.
That's right. Get the first down and get to the get
well,
to the
I think Michael's right. Makes a good point though. When you got to have a first down and the play breaks down, he can make it with his legs. Tua would have been able to do that. But they also wanted to protect Tua, so that they never really ran Tua. But he actually had the athletic ability to do it.
But see, to go with that, you got to have some kind of physical toughness that doesn't get beat up too bad. And Tua ended up with 3 major injuries.
Yep.
And that's on their mind with Bryce Young right now because he's not even as thick as Tua was.
No, he does look frail. He's short and skinny. They do need to get him in the weight room and let him drink a lot of milkshakes.
Yeah, he's got to bulk up a little bit. And look, we're talking to the choir right now. I think everybody knows that. But to me, the thing that they can do that with him, he's got talent, but he's got talent guys that you can't coach. if you paid attention to that first pass he threw, when the protection broke down, he gave a little head fake, stepped outside, and zipped it over about 30 yards to that offensive back standing by himself on the sideline. I mean, that you can't coach that.
Nope.
That's just innate ability.
Yep, I agree.
Do you think it's going to be Florida or Georgia on the East, or anybody else coming out of the East?
I don't think Florida's going to make it. I think if they lost it, Emory Jones is going to be the quarterback, and Dan showed some things toward the end and pressure that I'd never seen before when he was at Mississippi State. I mean, his personality, and I think that's going to keep him. Georgia will get there, but Georgia can't win it. Georgia, there's a big communication breakdown between Kirby and his quarterbacks and some of his assistant coaches. He's got the talent to do it, to get it there, but you wait and see. He'll make drastic mistakes in critical situations. He always has.
You know, he has. That's true. No, I mean,
go back and look. All right, guys, let me just tell you. He played as a defensive back. He coaches the defensive backs at practice. And my good friend that coaches the defensive front during the spring for him on a contract basis tells me right now the weakest part of that program coming into this year is the defensive secondary. So that's been spelled. They're 10-2. They're a 10-2 team. They're going to lose to Clemson in Alabama.
They took a miracle field goal from to beat Cincinnati. I mean, they shouldn't have been going down the wire with Cincinnati. I still can't believe that.
Don't you hate to hear, well, they didn't want to be there. Give me a break. That's the coach's fault if they play like that.
Hey, Mr. Max, what's the biggest cloud over the NCAA as it relates to football transfer? What's the biggest issue that you think that's going to have to be addressed
in the whole sport?
Well, they've got to do something about the immediate transfer part. I understand the kids. I sent recruiting office at Troy and at Florida State that own this. And, you're going to make a mistake along the way. You just are. Coach Saban makes some mistakes. The good thing about his program, they disappeared. You don't ever know. You don't ever know what happened to them. Did they show up in New Mexico or somewhere like that? My point is, though, the NCAA, as they are today, they've got to make some kind of adjustment. And I've said for years, it has to be on an individual basis. You've got to have a broad policy, but in each case, you can't have 1,300 kids in the portal right now. That's what they got all across the country to want to transfer. And you got to take into consideration too, guys. Kids that are raised today aren't like they were raised 20 years ago. You shout at one and talk a little rough to him and shake him up a little bit, and he's going to want to leave because his feelings get hurt. Well, that's a parental problem as well.
One thing that go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'll just say one last thing. Pete Jenkins is one of my best friends, and he coached 45 years in the SEC and 10 years in the NFL, and he still runs camps for the NFL now. And he summed it all up. He said, not only do you have to work like crazy and recruit them hard to get them to your school, you can't quit there. You got to recruit them every day to stay. Mm-hmm. And you now the trend now for those high-profile kids, you got to deal with their parents just like you did in high school.
Yep.
Well, see, that's a whole other ball game for the guys that came through the time I did.
And now with them getting paid for their likeness and all that kind of stuff, that's coming through the NCAA, and Governor Kay Ivey has already approved that where once the NCAA passes it, that the state of Alabama is going to jump on board and go ahead and approve, getting paid for your likeness and all that kind of stuff. And it's like Coach Saban had mentioned, the rich are going to get richer, and the people who are going to hurt are these lower.
You can look for a strength the NCAA covered, guys. It's just I've been talking about it for 20 years. But they're going to take the top 40, 50 teams, and they're going to pull out. They're going to form their own league, and that's the way it's going to be. And it's going to be everybody else, everybody else under some form, which probably made is under the NCAA. But those big schools like that, they know that they've got control of the finances down with TV audience. And, I truly believe that there'll be another organization next 5 to 10 years. They'll handle the major programs. They'll have somewhat set of different rules. A lot of them will be, pay for play. It'll be a semi-professional program. I think there's 100 different ways that this thing could go. None of us really know right now, but there's all kind of proposals being generated out there by a lot of people.
Well, has it hurt junior college recruiting? We know it's kind of affected high school recruiting, but how's the junior college recruiting going in Mississippi for those players trying to find a home?
Given that all these players are transferring from four-year schools.
Yeah, still they changed the rules over here. Used to, I know when I came along years ago, each junior college had a 5-county area they could recruit, only take 10 out-of-state kids. Now it's wide open. They've reduced the out-of-states to 8 players out of the state of Mississippi. But the guys in Etowah County, where I live up in the northeast corner, can go down the coast and recruit a kid at Biloxi or Pascagoula or wherever they want to. They used to couldn't do that.
Oh.
So I tell you, there's 2 things that keeps them really in vogue. The academic things, the D1s that are recruit to 3 and 4 and 5-star players that academically can't get in school, they end up in junior college. That's the talent level. And then the kid that's still not mature enough, he's 6'5", he's 220, he needs to be 250, and, be a down player or whatever. Those are kids that still need to mature. That's another source for them. So I would say because of the academic side, the quality is still good in this state. But there's still some infringement, I think, in the rules that is still not a level playing field. But I'll tell you, if you have not seen the junior colleges in Mississippi play, there's 14 schools in the state that play junior college football. The quality is better than California's. They've got the most in California. I think they've got 40 or 50 junior colleges out there. But the quality in Mississippi is still better. I recruited both sides for a long time. Then, you got spotty junior colleges in Kansas and Texas and Oklahoma. They only have 4 or 5. But you go back and look where the National Junior College Championships played every year, it's normally Mississippi. And odds are that one of the Mississippi schools is going to be at least playing for the championship.
God, think of all the great players. It would be interesting to have an all-Mississippi junior college team of all time. There would be some studs, wouldn't it?
Let me tell you how the rules have changed. I don't cite this very often. But Earl Leggett that played at LSU and Jimmy Taylor that played at LSU, both of those guys out of Louisiana, both were sent to the Mississippi Junior College. See, back in the 50s, the junior colleges all had high schools on their campus as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 players played 4 years of junior college, 2 years of high school, and 2 years of junior college, and then enrolled at LSU as freshmen and played 3 years there.
Oh, wow.
That's a known fact.
They were grown men.
Of course, both of them went on to be all-pro, and both of them. Let's see, I guess Liggett played with the Eagles, and Jimmy Taylor played with the Packers, and a great player. And I use that example how the rules have changed. Now, used to if you enrolled in a junior college, you had to finish, or you had to get 2 years there. Today, if you're academic, if you pass the ACT or SAT and got better than a 2.5 out of high school, you don't have to stay but 1 year, or you don't have to stay but 1 semester, and then transfer back to a senior college.
Mm.
That's different than it used to be as well. So it's those supplemental programs. I know when I left Florida State in '89, went to Ole Miss, and Billy Brewer was the head football coach there. Billy played high school ball in Columbus, Mississippi, coached all around southeast Louisiana, and all, got the Ole Miss job, was a graduate of Ole Miss, and never recruited the junior college system. I came in the first year, brought 11 players out of junior college tour. 10 of them made it all the way to the NFL. So we opened his eyes as to what's involved, rather than just try to do it like Coach Vaught did it when Coach Vaught was coming along. They could sign. Coach Vaught's last recruiting class before he retired, I think, was 111 kids.
Out of the last,
they didn't have the building. It was just like everybody else.
Out of the last, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was a survival of the fittest. The last 25 or 30 got the scholarships, and that was the way it was.
Out of the last 9 years, 7 schools from Mississippi have won the junior college championship.
There you go.
That's right.
East
exactly.
Mississippi,
I didn't have the numbers, but I know.
Northwest Mississippi,
I keep up with pretty close.
Mississippi Coast.
Didn't Cam Newton play at Mississippi Junior College, or was he in Texas?
No, he went to Texas.
He was at Blinn, I believe. But
I'm thinking.
let's
Let's look at the great Alabama players from Pike County. Quincy Jackson and Cornelius Griffin both played Mississippi Junior College ball. John Copeland, Alabama doesn't win the national championship without John Copeland in 1992. Junior college product. It just goes on and on.
So Max, what are they doing with the kids that didn't play at all this year? That they didn't play any junior college ball. I mean, they're just going to sit out the year and they can start all over as a freshman or sophomore.
They operate. The junior college rules committee operates much like just a subdivision of NCAA. So they gave them all another year, to do. And of course, see, here's another thing, Michael. A lot of people don't realize you redshirt junior college. I mean, you guys should stay 3 years. So you got 3 to play 2 is what it amounts to, which is just a modified version.
Financially, though, if you're bringing in a brand new high school signing class to your junior college program, and then you got all these other kids that can come back as well, how can they financially afford that?
Well, let me just tell you, have you ever been to a practice?
No.
Well, you ought to go one time. Because
it's junior college practice? I've never been to one.
Yeah, it's the junior college practice. It's a survival game. I mean, guys, they still run that. You'd be surprised at how many high school players think they want to play college ball till you get it to the next level. I'm telling you, it's some things that it's the physicality of the game that keeps those numbers down. Most of the junior college does not even have a full roster by the time they finish the 2 years the kids start off with.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
That's the last thing they worry about are the numbers.
But you also have the big-time Power 5 schools that actually send the guy to a certain coach at a certain junior college because they have that relationship.
No. Wait just a minute.
Doesn't that happen too?
They recommend that once they release them to go to a junior college, they're wide open to be recruited by anybody they want to.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying some of those guys, they're hoping to get back, and they have a relationship with that coach, so they hope they can get them back.
Mostly it's
a great issue.
It's a financial relationship.
Yeah, you're right.
Remember, I did that for 20 years.
So, I know. Well, what did you think of Troy, Max? Did you go to the spring game? What did you think of Chip Lindsey's?
I didn't stay the whole. I didn't stay the whole time. I'll be honest with you. I had some things I had to get back to Mississippi for. I did see part of it, the early part, and they to me about like everybody else. I saw. I taped. I put my recorder on this past Saturday and recorded a bunch of other schools. I watched Alabama. And I had some of those streaming channels. I picked up some of the other games, but it's hard to tell. I couldn't in my mind. I could see, a great deal of improvement. That's not going to be critical, but you don't expect to see a lot in the spring. If you don't see it, they don't let you come back to practices in the fall anymore. The media, so you don't really get a chance to open up. So I'll be at that first ball game on September 4th.
Well, on paper, Troy has pretty much the whole team coming back.
Right. Yeah,
we can't figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fixing to say, you go when you got a break-even bunch and they all come back. Is that good or bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how much can you really improve a kid that's already been there for 5 years or 4 years?
Yeah. Well, it still depends a great deal on the off-season program. What do you do on your 7-on-7s in the off-season? What do you do in the weight room? What about strength and conditioning? There's tons of stuff that you can prove. Remember, your strength and conditioning coach is the only guy that can stay with them 12 months out of the year. Mm-hmm. The other guys can't go on the field with them, except those designated times for practice with NCAA. But the strength and condition guys can go out there every day with them on the field.
They know the players best, and then the other ones that know the players best are the trainers that spend all this time with these guys before and after practice. So if you really want to get the heartbeat of a program, look at the trainers and then the strength and conditioning staff.
Exactly right. That is true. That's why I've said, Bill, for 100 years anyway, I've said it. The most important guy, if the head coach is hired, the next guy's hired, they ain't got nothing to do with offense and defense. You better get a strength and conditioning coach in there that knows a little bit about X's and O's as well.
You know the only guy that's been with Coach Saban his entire time in Alabama? Can anybody name him?
Jeff Allen.
Yep, the head trainer. It was kind of like Coach Goostree was with Coach Bryan his whole career.
It sure was.
And then, when my dad played, and he wasn't one of these former players that liked to hang around and ride on the coattails of his playing career, but I know that the few times when he did want to reach out to somebody at Alabama about something, he contacted who? Jim Goostree.
That's right.
The trainer.
Yeah, he had a great rapport. With the players. I mean, that was, I think, widely known. And that was, it turned Coach Bryant respected that as well.
Yeah. He would listen to him,
absolutely.
Head to head,
those guys that tell Goostree stuff, they wouldn't about to tell Coach Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you that.
Yep.
Who's got the upper hand, Ole Miss or Mississippi State right now?
Well, prior to the spring game, I thought Ole Miss was head and shoulders, but I just found out when they had the spring game this week that the Abraham kid that started at Southern Miss for 3 years got the senior pool and transferred to Mississippi State. Now, he's a real deal. I mean, he's 6'4", 225, can run and throw. The little kid they had playing Powell last year, he was 5'9", 180. If you notice, he didn't throw the ball over 20 yards at any one time because he couldn't. There were 7 quarterbacks on the field at Mississippi State this spring, but Abraham, stepped up. And, I think he threw for 240, 50 yards in the spring.
So this is a Southern Miss transfer. This is a Southern Miss transfer going to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the kid that beat Troy 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was a starter for Southern Miss for 3 years. And, so he's,
what are they going to do about the brawl?
About who? What?
We lost Michael.
Now they got the huge
that
huge fight that results in the bowl game.
Nobody even ever brings that up. I didn't say, what? What was that all about? Hey, Leach didn't even know what was going on.
No, he was in the stands celebrating, taking selfies.
I think the other side of that is, I think Corral is the real deal in Ole Miss. I think Pumbly, they're going to put Pumbly as a slot back. He's a second quarterback. He's legit 4-4 kid. They signed 8 defensive players, either junior college and or high school kids coming out. So they'll be better. Right now, you look at it break down. I talked to a good friend of mine that covered the LSU game, and he said the defense was way ahead of the offense right now. They're still looking at either Max Johnson or Miles Brennan to come back to run that team down there this year. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be at Texas A&M. The Bud kid's been a starter for 4 years out there. So, how good can they be?
Right.
I think they lost 12 or 14 starters on both on defense and offense combined. So I don't know. I think it's going to be Alabama and Georgia from top to bottom, and Ole Miss will probably get 6 or 7 wins. State probably 5 or 6. The way it looks right now. Now things could change. You could have some of these teams have starters go down, and they can't. They're able to replace them because it looks like everybody's going to play a full schedule this year.
Well, Mississippi State.
Well, Max, we appreciate you calling in. We're about to have to wrap up for the day. I know. I appreciate you coming out of the house and seeing Dad while you're in Troy. I know you went to dinner with the great Forrest Lee. I know that was fun for you, but we always love for you to call in the show and talk to us about football.
Yeah, this was some great analysis.
I appreciate that, Michael. I've been there, and I'll try as we get closer now, get through the summer. It'll be a lot to talk about, I promise you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
Well, on behalf of Michael, Amos calling in from Grayton Beach and his dad, seeing the doctor today. Good luck with Mike. I want to thank Bill for being here, and on behalf of Today in LA, we want to thank you for joining us. Tune in today at 1:30 for the replay, and have a great day. We'll see you in the morning.
So you were heading to Brundage Country Club.
A personal touch, a high level of trust.